So I just got home. I just watched overtime. I saw enough of the third to have seen two of the three goals by Patrick Laine. Looks like the kid's pretty good, huh? I heard a lot of talk about him during the World Cup. Um, and right away, people were like, oh, he's not that good. And in the preseason, he didn't look that good. And in the first game of the year, I thought he looked kind of a little awkward. Then he scored that goal. It does not take long for young players to get it when they're elite level young players. And Laine is that good. Um, so that's game one of what's going to be a big, important battle. Number one versus number two. And Laine won this round. And I'm glad he got the hat trick. There's a lot of good young stories going on. Matthews had a decent game too. For the Leafs, this is definitely a blown opportunity. Um, they had the game in the bag and blew it. Um, I'll leave it up to Leafs fans to decide who's most to blame and who isn't. I didn't pick the Leafs to make the playoffs this year, anyways, so this kind of a result isn't any different than what I would have expected. But blowing a huge lead is problematic, and Babcock will not be happy about that. Babcock understands this season's going to be a long season for Toronto, but he has pride, and when a team takes a big lead and then blows it, that's going to injure the pride. Kadri with 2 goals tonight. He needed to get on the board. He needed to get himself going. Nylander with a goal tonight. So it's good to see. For the Leafs, it's good to see this kind of thing happening. The Leafs are not going to have problems scoring this year. They're not. They have so many good young pieces. Their blue line and their goaltending right now look like that's where it's going to be an issue. And I honestly thought Freddie Anderson was going to be really good there, and it's still really super early to say it, but much like in Calgary, it's got to creep into your head a little bit. Like, here we go again. Toronto's gone through a lot of goaltenders over the years. Raycroft's the most obvious oops, but there have been others. Toskala. And Toskala takes a lot of flack from fans, but Vesa Toskala was a good goaltender. He wasn't a bad goaltender. And I believe it was his first year in Toronto, he was actually the team MVP. Now, yeah, the team missed the playoffs, but he was the MVP. I think he played 66 games that year. So Toskala was not the problem in Toronto, not at the beginning. But Toronto's gone through a lot of goaltenders. And you have to kind of wonder if this is a pattern, much like it is in Edmonton, because of the defense. Like in terms of Edmonton right now, for instance, Talbot's getting himself together. He just needs to play more games. I really believe that Talbot is a goaltender who thrives with the pressure. The year that he had for the Rangers when Lundqvist was hurt was fantastic, and I think it was the fact that he knew he was not the backup, and the weight was on his shoulders, and he took it and ran with it. So he is a good goaltender, and I would say that and admit that to Oilers fans. You got a good goaltender there. And Anderson, I like Anderson. I still think he's a good goalie. There's something wrong with his game. I know they talked about him on the second goal by Laine, the tying goal, that he was too far out of the net, and that he was basically playing the shot and not worrying about the pass. Now, as a goaltender, that is the way you're schooled to be. You're schooled to you play the shooter, and it's up to your defenders to make sure that his options aren't good options. So whoever's job it was to check that guy, Patrick Laine, who's being interviewed by Scott Oak right now, whoever's job it was to check him, that's who's responsible most for that goal. It doesn't look good for Anderson because he was so far out, but that's who the problem was right there. It's whoever was supposed to be defending Laine and just left him alone. You don't have to interfere with him. You don't have to get a penalty. but you at least have to get up in their face a little bit. You can't leave them wide open for a shot, not when the guy is as good as Laine is. 3 goals on 5 shots. That's pretty good. He's a pretty good prospect, and he immediately makes Winnipeg a better team. So, it's still early, as I said, but the fight between Winnipeg and Toronto could be good for years to come, because these two guys, they know they're 1 and 2, and it's compared to Crosby and Ovechkin. They're not going to play as often as Crosby and Ovechkin. They're not in the same conference, but hey, it's going to be fun. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.